What's going on, YouTube fam, and welcome back to another video. And yes, you've seen the title. Do not be scared to come to Mexico, whether that's to visit or to live. Now, I'm going to break down for you exactly why I'm talking about this. Now, in the past, if you look at some of my past videos, I have discussed safety here in Mexico, in different parts of Mexico, and general safety tips for you to have a pleasant stay here. Now, I'm talking about this again because of the recent events that happened on the border with the 4 Americans that got caught up in that situation in Matamoros in Tamaulipas on the border with Texas. Now, there's a lot of things going on with that. The case hasn't been fully investigated yet, but I'm sure a lot of you out there who are watching have seen this, have put 2 and 2 together that there was something just not right with that situation. They weren't just coming here for the reasons they said they were. And I'm not going to get too deep into all that stuff and say certain buzzwords that YouTube doesn't want me to say, but what I will say is that situation is an isolated situation, right? I have spoken about the cartels before and how they don't target tourists. Now, that's not me praising the cartels, and any human being can act erratic in any moment. But in general, cartels do not target random tourists. That whole situation, those people were involved in something that they probably shouldn't have been involved with. And that's pretty obvious if you look at the details so far. So that's why they kind of got mixed in with that whole situation. And unfortunately, 2 people lost their lives to that. Now, we don't know exactly everything that happened. You're never going to know 100%. But I've seen a lot of comments on social media, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, when they cover this story. And people see that from other countries, mainly the United States, where I'm from, and they're like, that's why I can't go to Mexico. It's so scary, and yeah, see what happens, and there's no stability. I'm taking Mexico off of my bucket list and all this stuff like that. That's cool. They have a right to feel however they want to feel. But see, what happens is people get caught up in this fear train, right? They believe everything they see in the media. The first video that says, there's violence in Mexico. Oh my God, gotta stay away from Mexico. But think about it. Mexico is the 6th most visited country in the world out of 196, 97, depending on what you count, independent countries, okay? 40 million people visit here every year, and the vast majority, I'm talking like 99%, have no issues. 128 million people live in Mexico, and that's, of course, including Mexican citizens and expatriates that have come here to live as well. So if we look at those numbers, the vast majority, over 90-something% of Mexicans that live in this huge country of 128 million people do not suffer crime, do not suffer cartel violence. These things are very isolated. And I'm not saying any of you out there are feeling this way, but if you did, or if you are, do not be afraid. Do not be scared to come to Mexico or even just to visit or to live here. It is safe as long as you know where you're going and what you're doing. Now, yes, Mexico does have its fair share of problems, just like the United States does, just like Canada does. Even some of the most, I was looking for the word, but safest. We'll just go with safest. Even some of the safest countries in the world, like Japan, Iceland, Denmark, have their share of issues. In Japan, you have organized crime. I'm sure you've all heard of the Yakuza. In places that are safe, human beings are going to be human beings. Most of us are going to be good, but some of us are going to be bad. But I don't want anybody seeing that and thinking that Mexico is just a war zone and it's like, it's just out of control. Yes, there's things here that need to be worked on. Yes, there's corruption. Yes, there's bad things, but the good things of this country outweigh the bad things. And that's what I want you all out there to know. Don't let that deter you, because think about it. If you're coming from the United States, for example, you're more likely actually to be a victim of a crime than you are in Mexico. And there are quite a few cities in Mexico, quite a few that are safer than major American cities. So I see a lot of people, living in some of these urban areas that are just becoming ridiculous, like Chicago, Detroit, Flint, Michigan, New Orleans, Los Angeles, parts of New York City is getting really bad now. And people, you're more likely to be a victim in those places than you are coming to Mexico. And like I said before, it is all about preparation, understanding, and finding research. There's a lot of different ways you can find different sources, people to talk to, Facebook groups, YouTube videos of people who live here, who have been here, who can tell you about the realities of living in Mexico. I live in Mexico now. This August will make 3 years. And this month actually makes 1 year living in Guadalajara. And before I was living in Yucatan, in Merida, which is the safest state in Mexico. And some of my friends were like, be careful. Guadalajara can be dangerous. For me, it's like, well, hey, I come from New Jersey, New York. It's like, I grew up in the 90s. I know about danger. I lived in Brazil. I've been to favelas. I've been to lower income areas, dangerous areas. And to me, this is nothing. People think the cartel is running wild. Cartel Jalisco, I didn't ever bother anybody. Nobody's getting bothered by that. It's overblown. Now, I'm not praising the cartels in any way. I'm not saying it's cool. But if you're just a simple tourist going to a tourist area, or people, even if you're exploring other areas, you don't have to worry about any of that. It's like people are getting these alarm bells ringing like, oh my God, I got to be careful in Mexico. Do not worry. Just do your research. There's all kinds of Facebook groups. There's, like I said, YouTube, Google searches, articles, blogs, you name it, it's there. You can search for information, connect with Mexican people and other expatriates who are living here that can tell you the real deal. So I know the difference. I'm a traveler. I've been around the world, so I can understand different places and different cultures and know that it's not everything you see on, TV and the news and everything that's reported. So with that being said, don't let the recent events or any of these events you're hearing happening in isolated areas deter you from coming to Mexico. Of course, be safe as you would in any place in the world that you visit. Okay? Always exercise caution no matter how safe the place is. But don't let any of this discourage you, because this country is beautiful. It's so much going on. The people are amazing. The food, the culture, the history. I'm telling you, you've heard me speak about Mexico and my affinity for this country in the previous videos. So I just wanted to make this real quick to kind of ease the tension, and hopefully some of you can see it and understand that it's not everything what you see in the media. So that's all for today, folks. I really appreciate you all clicking like, you just watching the video, subscribing. I appreciate you all. We're going to continue growing. I'm going to continue bringing you more content. And yes, thank you all. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment. I will respond. And thank you all for your support once again. And until the next video, you all take care, and I'll catch you then. Peace.